All right, MMA Maniacs, it is time once again for Split Decision, your weekly MMA podcast brought to you by Split Decision. And, of course, the Rula Family Inc. Studios hooking us up and producing us every week, and Fight Fans Radio Network for the support and spread of the good word. We have the gospel here, people. The gospel. You can get us on their Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and their iTunes, as well as our Spreaker, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, and our official website, which is SplitDecisionMMA.com. Like us on Facebook, Split Decision MMA Podcast. Find us on Twitter, SD_MMA. I'm Bueller here with Dodge, and Dodge is the man who knows everything. He has a million tabs open today, so apparently we have a lot of news.
That's what happens when you make me do things on Wednesday.
Hey, it's the Olympics this week.
It is the Olympics this week. Guess what? Fedor was at the Olympics. He carried the torch.
Sochi and shit, but the bright, shining star inside that turd is Fedor.
Fedor Elemenenko.
So they had somebody carry the torch all the way to Fedor, and then Fedor.
Well, of course.
Hey, whatever, man. It's all good.
Like I said, I think I like Dennis's. I don't understand why he's not in a throne surrounded by skulls.
Belts. He's like the future Hulk Maestro, where he's wearing the armor of all the heroes that he's killed. It'd be awesome. Just has a bear skull on his head. Be a beautiful thing. We're not going to talk about Sochi at all. There's no reason to. We just got it all out of our system.
There, it's done. The best thing about Sochi is Fedor was there.
Sochi just sucks. I feel bad for anybody over there. Anybody has to go to those Olympics. Anybody has to live. All the people I don't feel bad for.
Hey, I just
they're
want to say...
They're not going to listen to us until another 10 years. Then they'll listen to this podcast.
You were never out of the reach of Russia.
I just feel bad for them.
I'm just saying, I don't want a suitcase of uranium.
I don't either.
I'm just saying.
They can't afford the postage to
I
get
think
here.
it's great. I think what's going on in Sochi is awesome. I think it's right on, man.
No.
I think it's right on, man.
It's a joke. It's the worst Olympics ever. The only people I don't feel bad for in Russia are Fedor and Putin.
Putin's the world's most interesting man.
He is. He is. He's awesome, too. Putin, you're the shit.
Did you see him petting that leopard right after it tried to kill a reporter?
I want to know where his baby giraffe is.
He's got one.
They got hotels with no lobby, but Putin has a gold toilet in his house somewhere.
That is the most awesome story. When you said that you have to go to the hotel manager room to check in.
Yeah. The owner's room, because they don't have a lobby.
He's got a little iPhone with the Intuit on top of it. Thank you very much.
No, he doesn't swipe it. He just takes your card.
You leave credit card here.
Yeah,
you don't need it here.
Russia, you're great. We love you.
UFC bantamweight fighter Jessica Ai failed her drug test for UFC 166 that happened back in October. She has now been fined $1,875. Her split decision is now a no contest to Sarah Kaufman.
How long ago do you think we got these results?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, why don't they just buy the home test kits that you give to your kids?
Because, dude, they get Nate or Nick right after shit happens.
The best part about it is, though, is they said that their suspension does not prepare her for fighting Alexis Davis on the undercard of UFC 170, February 22nd.
I'd say, you know why?
She just got fined.
You know why they get the Diaz brothers so quick, right? Because they bring their own positive tests with them and just hand them over after the fight.
There you go.
It's the way it is. So Donald Cerrone going up against Edson Barboza, booked for April 19th.
Yeah, UFC on Fox 10 was very quick for Donald Cerrone.
Cerrone's turnaround time's great for him, man. He needs money, so...
Yeah, oh yeah, he said that the last fight money, gone like a fart in the wind, he said.
Yeah,
that was his quote, bud. Fart in the wind. He likes to quote from the ass a lot. He does.
Dude, interviewing that guy's almost impossible. I mean, if you work in live radio, it is impossible. You just can't do it.
So they're looking to book Chael Sonnen against Vanderlei Silva for the coaches of the Ultimate Fighter Brazil for Vegas in July this year.
Was there ever any more fallout from their fight?
No. Other than Chael Sonnen recently tweeted, Van is fat. He hasn't taken his shirt off since we've been here. He thought our fight would be in July. Apparently, it's getting announced for May. He's stressing out and trying to get out of the fight.
Can he just do the saran wrap around his abdomen like the women do before prom?
Apparently that works. Anthony Johnson was over. Remember, he's over World Series of Fighting. He's now coming back to the UFC after riding a 6-fight win streak.
Oh, wow.
He's going to make his UFC return against number 4 ranked light heavyweight Phil Davis at UFC 172.
They haven't fought before?
No. And now he's, not going to be 170 and never making weight. He's actually going to fight at 205. So,
well, good. I mean, Anthony Rumble Johnson was fun to watch, but his weight was a huge issue. So his 6-fight win streak, it's a positive return for him.
Definitely positive return.
I'd like to see what he can do in the UFC when he's actually making weight.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he does against Phil Davis. Phil Davis, obviously, amazing wrestler, not known for his hands necessarily, whereas Rumble Johnson is pretty heavy-handed.
But he has the Wunderbar.
This is true.
Yeah, Phil Davis' last fight, didn't he stand up and bang him for a while?
Yeah. He fought Vinny Magalhães, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, took him out. So there was some news that was going on with Junior Dos Santos. Some of the Brazilian media outlets were reporting that he basically left the Nogueira camp to go train with Nova União, which is where Jose Aldo, Herrera Barao, they all train. Apparently they're rival gyms. He says this is not the case. He has not left the Nogueira gym. He is still Team Nogueira all the way, Team Minotauro. But he has gone up to Rio to train with Nova União because he wants to evolve as a fighter. He wants to get some things, learn new things.
That's not a bad thing to do. I mean, Dave Camarillo's always said train with everyone. There's nothing wrong with changing up your camp a little bit. I mean, that's one of the things that I feel that hurt Brock Lesnar in his career, and also that potentially could hurt Michael McDonald in his career, is the refusal to train with other people, because you got to learn different strategies. Although the thing that struck me the most on that story was that Cigano means gypsy.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I thought he liked to smoke cigars.
No. It's because he didn't have anywhere to live when he was a kid.
I really thought it was because he liked cigars.
What I think is interesting, he's going to be the biggest guy at Nova União because they're all small guys.
Well, then hopefully he doesn't get a Brock Lesnar complex when over there. You know what I mean?
We'll see. So Freddie Roach basically recently came out and was talking about George St Pierre, saying that one of the reasons he was quitting fighting, his theory is because George had been telling him he was getting a lot of headaches and migraines before and after his fights, and that he told him you need to take about a year off to figure things out and figure out what's going on with your head. Dana White's not happy with this.
No, Dana White's saying that was never mentioned.
It was never mentioned. He's never told me he's had headaches. He said there were some personal issues, which Dana White says, I will absolutely never repeat what he tells us. He can come out and say whatever he wants. I don't know if he's trying to basically smoke and mirrors, like, hey, I had migraines, and then he doesn't really want to tell anybody what's going on.
It were the aliens. I think,
yeah, if it's headaches before and after the fight, it's aliens.
Has to be aliens. 100%. Not getting punched in the head has nothing to do with it. But here's the thing: is that because we're raised on gossip, obviously.
Yep.
Like by Dana White saying this, I'm like, well, I really want to know now.
I really need to know.
Like, I want Star to publish something so I can believe it.
You didn't even care before.
No, but I care now.
Do now.
And any tabloid comes out with anything, I'm going to believe it at this point in time.
And we will report it.
Absolutely. As fact. As fact. It just doesn't matter. He has an alien growing out of his butt. Fact.
No, that was a foreign object. Totally different thing.
So Chris Leben has made some weird interviews lately. The first one said that he's basically spent almost his entire earnings on illegal drugs, which
that's awesome.
Probably, believable.
Yeah.
And another one is now that he says he has some minor tax issues, like he's never paid taxes.
It's not a minor tax issue. He hasn't paid taxes since 2005.
Ronnie Deutsch. Let's get him Ronnie Deutsch's number.
Right? Yeah. He needs some help. So I guess apparently he has years of back taxes to pay. And
no money to
do
it.
No money.
And he retired from the only place he was getting paid.
Hey, so Dana, since you listen, do the same thing that the NFL does. Put something together, so work with these guys' financials, so they have something when they're
afterwards.
When they're brain dead, seeing aliens and having headaches.
Yeah, just like the NFL. You get all those guys that are they started car washes, and they had rap labels, and that's good money investment, right? Yeah. There are all those NFL players that still have all those. They're still doing good, right?
Car dealerships,
right? Dealerships.
Yeah.
And
so Ronnie Lott have one just right up the road with Tina Turner.
I think so.
That's a real thing. Look it up.
Look it up.
Did you say
real.
Keena or Tina? Keena Turner, right?
Yeah, Keena Turner.
Okay. All right.
So I guess some of the big news that we do have to talk about is UFC light heavyweight Thiago Silva was just taken into police custody after following an armed standoff at his apartment.
You done lost your fucking mind.
Yeah. So allegedly,
let's go into the backstory here before you go into this.
Yeah. Allegedly, the backstory is that Pablo, which is Pablo Popovich, which is at one time was Thiago's trainer in Florida.
And he was BJJ's fighter of the year last year.
Yep. He separated from his wife and then apparently started seeing Thiago Silva's ex-wife.
Now, see, this is when I got up this morning and I read this story.
But it's going back and forth where it's like she's been training at his gym for a long time.
Right.
They've been flirty, just friend. Like there's guys that go to the gym that are starting to report on the underground.
Right.
Like it's been flirty, it's been whatever. One guy says, "Look, I had a conversation. Was like, don't go there. Like you shouldn't mix, that situation." Basically, a lot of it is, and Thiago Silva thought his wife was cheating on him.
But that's when I woke up this morning. It was like he showed up because he thought this coach at the gym was banging his wife. So he went nuts, pulled out a gun, went inside, threatened to shoot everybody.
Second report, yep.
Yeah, and then bailed out of the gym, went home, barricaded himself in the house. SWAT team was called, basically had a standoff with him, and then took him into custody.
Yes.
At which point, I put myself hypothetically in Thiago's shoes, assuming that if my wife was training at a jiu-jitsu gym and happened to be sleeping with somebody else at said jiu-jitsu gym, and I was to find out about this, how would I react? And I had to put myself hypothetically in this situation, assuming that may happen to me in the real life. And I thought I would wait till they were both chained in there together, and I would chain the door lock and just light the whole thing on fire, watch it burn down, and eat popcorn while it was happening. So I could kind of hypothetically understand why men would get mad in this situation.
Now, she says,
if we get any deeper into this, I'm wanting $75.99 an hour.
if she says that he actually she had a restraining order against Thiago. They had been broken up for a while.
Yeah, so this changes everything. If they were separated for like a year, and like were officially separated,
well, that's why he was on a streak, bro. He's pissed.
And that there was another incident of Silva accusing her of cheating, where she has come out and said basically that he put a gun in my mouth.
That's her,
and and threatened to shoot her until she got a restraining order against him.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, obviously that guy is.
He totally is. He totally is. So if this got separated from his wife, this girl separated from Thiago for a while. It's not like this was a behind the scenes type thing. They were actually separated.
Is that a little fupa hanging out there?
No, that's what I thought too. I think it's just where the pants are low.
Sure?
Oh. It's probably got a yellow band around the top.
Okay.
I'm gonna assume that. I don't know.
So he has been arrested. He was initially charged with 2 counts of attempted felony murder, 1 count of aggravated battery with deadly weapon, and 1 count of resisting an officer without violence.
Well, obviously, Pavlovich was a badass because Thiago took a fucking gun.
Right.
Well,
that's what a lot of people are saying. And Thiago is a scary motherfucker. Yeah, every time I've seen him in the UFC, he is scary.
Yeah, people are saying that
he won't be doing the throat slash anytime soon.
He'll do it from his cell.
Yeah.
No, that's people are saying and for those of you UFC nut huggers that are saying, oh, you got to be stupid to mess with Thiago. This guy Pablo is 200 pounds of solid muscle, and he's he won't go to blows with you. He'll just break you in half. You don't want to
just grab you and fall.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to street fight with him.
That's what he'll do.
This guy who wrote it is like Thiago's cool and all, but he can't sweep me. He can't mount me. He can't put me in his guard. He can't do any of that stuff. And Pablo could kill me. Right. So it's apparently Pablo's a scary bastard, which is why Thiago brought a gun.
He is currently being held without bond. The judge says that he felt that he was a high risk for fleeing back to Brazil, and he was also an ongoing danger to his estranged wife. The lawyer tried to argue that he's receiving harsh judgment due to the fact that he is, at that time, employed at the UFC. The UFC has now come out and said that Thiago Silva will never fight in the UFC again. They have completely released him of his contract.
What city are they in?
In Miami.
So is he going to get deported back to Brazil?
Basically.
Is he still a Brazilian citizen?
I'm a little upset because he was supposed to fight in March over in St. Peru. Now we're not going to see him fight.
No, that's definitely a bummer. But I'm just saying, if they're going to deport Thiago, they should deport Justin Bieber too,
right?
They both violated their work visas.
I can't believe you worked Bieber into the fucking
Fuck. So you remember back in 2010 when the UFC had its first event in Abu Dhabi? They had the first outside event, and they built the stadium and then tore it down a couple months later.
Yeah, they built it out of
Apparently
gold.
They're building another stadium.
Out of gold.
Probably out of gold. And they will be returning to Abu Dhabi where Roy Nelson will fight heavyweight Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira Minotauro.
Is it going to be
Big Nog in Abu Dhabi?
It's going to be the Mercedes-Benz Stadium made out of solid gold.
Well, before it was the Ferrari Stadium. You remember?
Really?
Yeah, it was a Ferrari stadium.
I want to move to Abu Dhabi just so I could drive Mercedes Benz because they drive those things around like they're Toyotas, man.
Do they know who Roy Nelson is? They're building a fucking stadium for a Roy Nelson.
He's an
fight?
Abu Dhabi champion.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Is it shaped like a Kentucky Fried Chicken bowl?
I think they should shape it like his belly. You could probably fit more people.
That would be a dome at that point, right?
Just a big dome.
It's like Roy Nelson laying on his back. Awesome.
So after all the Twitter beef back and forth, we have Michael Bisping will fight Tim Kennedy at the Ultimate Fighter Nations finale, April 16th. This will be going down in Canada. They've also announced part of the rest of the card. Obviously, coaches Patrick Cote and Kyle Noak will fight on that card. The middleweight and welterweight finale will be part of that card. Evan Dunham will be taking on Mark Bocek. Sam Stout against KJ Noons, and Tim Gordon against Mitch Gagnon.
That's a pretty cool card.
Not a bad card, yeah.
I like that. I did read something today about Michael Bisping calling the knockout from Henderson his just desserts.
Yeah.
I didn't look too much more into that, though. I don't know what that means. What does that even mean?
He apparently was happy about it.
He liked it?
He liked it.
I
mean, I have this photo I got to post. I'm going to post as soon as we're done with this podcast. This is what is awesome. That's Shogun and Dan Henderson with a camel on a beach in Brazil promoting their fight. This needs to be the poster of the card. Like,
why the hell not? It makes complete sense to me.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is?
I actually think it's going to be happening on a Wednesday. It's a fight night card, right?
So it's going to be the first ever UFC Hump Day card officially. They have to use that song when they,
the dubstep. I hope
The dubstep version.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Trap remix. Johny Hendricks, I think he's talking a little too much right here. He basically has come out and said that he wants to win the UFC title. He's going to defend it twice, and then he wants a super fight with Chris Weidman.
Well, you got to have goals.
How about he wins the title first?
He's going to win the title.
That ant got high.
And he's going to defend it twice, and he have a super fight with Anderson or with Chris Weidman.
Except for the dark horse, what's going to happen is when Chris Weidman comes out for the super fight, there's going to be a fog, and the light's going to go down, the light's going to come up, it's going to be GSP.
Some David Copperfield shit.
Twist! Ha ha ha! You thought. All right, so Pettis looking to recover and Aldo to move up and challenge for the lightweight title.
Yep.
Except for Pettis said he didn't want to fight at 150. They offered a 150 fight, right?
And
He wants it at 150. It has to be at 155. He will not meet him at 150. He has to come up to 155 fully, which...
Does that make Pettis sound scared to you?
My thing is it really doesn't matter because if Aldo has to come up to weight, he just has to be 146.
Oh.
The weight class is 146 to 155. So as long as he's not over 155, he can be as light as he wants.
Yeah, right. but he could also go in there a little real heavy too.
Yeah, I mean he's got to come. He's got to be. He can't be over 155. But I mean, he could come at 155.
So this is a controversy for no reason, then.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's just dumb.
Relevancy. How many times we bring it up? Some people just talk just to get their name out.
Yep. Paulo Filo, you remember him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he went crazy. He got the Tyson tattoo on his face. He was
last time I saw him,
former WEC champion.
He was wearing a flannel shirt and cut off jeans.
Yeah.
What's he doing now?
He is signed with the World Series of Fighting. He had one fight up against David Branch, and now the organization refuses to use him again. And he wants them to buy out his contract. He's very upset they haven't bought out his contract.
Did he win his fight against David Branch?
I don't remember, to be honest.
It's been that long.
Yeah, it's been that long. And basically they said he was a pain in the ass to deal with. His management sucked. He missed his flight 3 times. He was very hard to get into the United States. They're like, if we ever do a show in Brazil, we'll give him a call.
Like that?
But they're freezing him out, basically. They're just going to wait for his contract to expire. He's like, and he has decided to go take a fight in Brazil anyway against his contract and says, just release me in my contract. I really don't care. You have to, because there's a big payday that they have to pay him. They're like, no, we don't want to do that.
But he can fight and make money. What are they going to do about that? Do they take part of the purse?
He said that as long they're like, if you want to go fight to make money to feed your family or whatever it is, that's fine. But
I'm wondering if they're going around locking these people down, because this isn't the first thing we've heard from the World Series of Fighting. Locking people down so they have them on reserve. So if they get something together, they can bring these people. But until they get something together, they just leave them out in limbo.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're trying to throw together like a super card to really make a name for themselves with all their frozen out fighters. And then the frozen out fighters are going to be so pissed they're going to come in and just wreck shop.
I don't know. I'm still waiting to see for this whole Viacom Bellator thing.
I'll see what happens.
So you know what Bellator's doing with Carl's Jr.?
No.
I went through the drive-thru today. They had cups with Bellator MMA on it.
Oh, see? So,
Ooh.
Yeah, and I asked, and of course nobody at Carl's Jr. had it. I said, "What's up? Does that say Bellator MMA?" She goes, "I don't know." She turned the cup around. She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what are you guys doing with it?" She goes, "I don't know." And she looks at the manager. She goes, "What are we doing with the wrestling?" Just give me my burger and shut the fuck up.
it's like, don't worry, it's all fake.
Okay, so now we got the Pena story from last week. We missed this, of course, because we got to do the show early.
Yeah, so
Blame
this,
my son for it, man.
This story came out. Basically, Julianna Pena has tore her ACL, MCL, LCL, meniscus, and hamstring all at the same time in a horrific training accident.
Out for 2 years.
For 2 years.
But in actuality, it's helped us that we waited for the story because we've actually got to sift through the bullshit.
A little bit more stuff now.
As much
Dana
of the
White
bullshit.
immediately reported what happened to the Venezuela victim at her gym, in quotes, is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. Ranked number 10, now out for 2 years. Leave that gym now.
The thing here is when it happened, it was like you heard two different sides of the story. And
Dana says
yeah.
he heard she was basically bullied at her gym for wearing her Ultimate Fighter gear. She was jumped from behind and fell, damaged her knee. She was crying, saying that basically the guy was talking shit. Michael Chesney, who also trains there, says that's not the case. He goes, I hope you don't think this was my fault. I didn't have any part of this, basically. He's not guilty. The coach was upset, and he also seems to be talking a little bit too much, too. Dana White, that gym handed you 2 Ultimate Fighters raised from teenagers, created from scratch. There's a reason she's destroyed everyone in the UFC. First of all, she went through a show. She didn't destroy everyone.
Right.
Dana White says she tore her other knee, broke her arm and her nose. Some people have no idea. Or some people only have one gear and break themselves. She should be number 2. There's no way she should be ranked number 2 just for winning the show. I'm sorry. She was crying when she told him, so he got socked. He has no idea what happened. Yes, it was my fault. One day you might have an MMA gym, and you can show me how to eliminate injuries. I'm switching to my Tai Chi. It's funny how Dana... This is all tweeted from, again, the coach over there at Six Jitsu. It's funny how Dana and everyone thinks that elite girls train with a room full of girls. They train with men. Julianna trains hard. Ask anyone on Tough. Her knee dislocated. She was trying to hit a standing switch, and her foot got stuck in the mat.
I'm so confused about this. She tore her other knee, broke her nose and her arm,
which is not true. Basically, the only injury she has is tore ACL, MCL, LCL, meniscus, and hamstring all on the one.
Why is he saying that then?
Because there was people saying, "Oh, I heard she did this. Oh, I heard she did that."
Yeah, okay, I'm still.
Really and all these injuries are the same thing. You would get this in baseball for a bad plant and a swing.
Yeah, this is also them saying that she had done all these other injuries sometime before. She's tough. She always goes full speed.
Full speed.
Like you need to relax. Basically, one of these guys said that, Dana talked to Julianna when she was in the hospital. 30 minutes after the incident, he doesn't realize that she took second in a men's division and trains with men. She was hurt rolling with someone she has 100 times. She'll be back. It's going to take 2 years. Dana White is basically saying this is so far from the story she told me right after it happened. She was hysterically crying. Completely opposite. Somewhere in the middle lies the truth.
Chris Weidman even called out the training partner at one point.
The training partners basically come out. He says, they're ready to go. We started rolling. It was our first round. We were about 2 minutes in. It was some submission wrestling, grappling, rolling, whatever you want to call it. I took a back position off the wall as if we were falling away from the wall with my hooks in. She was supporting my weight, and I was going for the rear naked choke. Her knee twisted in a weird way where we were at, and it was really terrible. He says, I train with her on a very regular basis. We were just going in there, and it was submission grappling. There was nothing different. It was slow paced. It was the first round. It was a freak accident. That's all it was.
I tend to believe him because women exaggerate everything. This is how it is.
So Dana White's pissed and blaming the gym, saying that that it's because they were talking shit and giving him crap about being
about wearing the Ultimate Fighter.
Wearing the Ultimate Fighter stuff.
That's what the initial reports were like, oh, you think you're tough because
they were bullying her. Yeah.
You think you could fight me? Come on, fight me. That kind of stuff. But apparently, what everybody else is saying is that didn't happen.
Well, some of the stuff I guess has happened, but it's just like good-natured ribbing. Like they, that's. Right. I mean, you go into a gym of a bunch of fighters, they talk shit to each other. That's what they do.
Over exaggerates it.
You know.
It's not allowed. That's bullying.
And then again, I think Dana White takes things out of context and just kind of runs with it.
No, maybe she's used to it, but maybe it's her cry week, so it's a little bit different this time around. No
so 2 years though is pretty crazy. 2 years.
That's insane.
So how do you explain that guy against Incognito, huh? Is it his cry week too?
The last little bit of news I have before switching over to the Ultimate Fighter and the UFC 169 that just happened is John Jones is upset because he feels that the UFC is pushing Ronda Rousey and he doesn't know what they're doing with him anymore.
One bitch is mad that another bitch is getting more press.
It's funny. I mean, that's the thing though too, is that their time is kind of limited with Ronda Rousey, which we've brought up before. She's getting movie offers like crazy.
I told you,
but that's her. That's not the
cycle.
UFC pushing her. That's her getting jobs because she's a chick. Good for her.
What I'm saying is, the sun is setting on her MMA career.
Right.
Not because she's slowing down, because she's not slowing down.
No.
But if she's going to make $10 million off a movie versus $10,000 off of a
she just got announced that she's going to be doing it's called the Athena series or something like that, and then she's going to be in the Entourage movie as a cameo.
I mean, that's a big deal. So it's pretty easy that you could turn your back on something like the UFC and go do movies for 10 times.
I just
the
like
money.
the John Jones. His quote is, "We don't always see eye to eye with the UFC. I don't know what they're necessarily I don't know if they're necessarily pushing me or whether that's a smart idea on their end or not. Who knows? I do know they are pushing Ronda Rousey really hard, and she's gotten a lot of great opportunities. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm pushing myself all the time, so I'm not really worried."
You think he's sitting there? He's like, man, I ain't getting no fucking movies.
Pretty much. That's what it sounds like.
That's ridiculous.
It's like, motherfucker, you're sponsored by Gatorade and Nike. Shut your mouth.
Seriously.
Shut up.
He's not sponsored by airbags?
No, nobody wants to give him airbags. I'm sure he lost his sponsorship with Bentley.
Yeah,
but for some reason he kept his one with Bud Light. That was weird.
But he should get a sponsor for a pocket breathalyzer.
So have you been watching the Ultimate Fighter Nations?
I've been keeping up with it. My DVR is not being very nice to me.
Not being very nice.
I'm keeping up online.
Okay. So do you just want to go over real quick that after 3 in a row, basically Team Canada was bragging that they were going to have the best season of 8-0, and then that same night, Team Australia finally wins one?
Well, was it? I mean, as far as we know, editing, it could have been the second fight. They said that,
right? Of the same day, yeah.
So good for Australia finally pulling together a win. They needed that. They needed a little bit of a confidence booster. Jeez.
I still think Team Canada just has way more talent than Team Australia. It's very, very apparent.
Like I said last week, that's crazy to me because everything in Australia can kill you. and in Canada, they only have denim and maple syrup. I don't understand how they can fight so well.
Australia's keeping it in reserve.
Is that what it is? They're going to release the funnel spiders here towards the end.
Yeah. Go kangaroo on everybody.
Gonna go kangaroo.
So then you had UFC 169. Did you get to watch pay-per-view before the Super Bowl?
I did.
And what'd you think?
I thought it was cool. I mean,
Dana White says it's one of the worst pay-per-views they've ever had with a shit cherry on top.
I mean, it set the record for decisions, obviously, which sucks.
We had 2 finishes the entire night.
But just because you have a bunch of decisions doesn't mean it's bad.
Abel Trillo knocking out Jamie Varner, thank God.
Thank God.
I knew you were going to be happy about that one.
And then, of course, your other stoppage was very controversial.
Yeah.
So let's want to go do the breakdown real quick. Want to run through it?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Run through it real quick. Neil Magny up against Ghassan Umalatov. This is, of course, a decision. Rashid Magomedov up against Tony Martin. A decision. Clint Hester gets a decision over Andy Enns. Ala Quinta, decision over Kevin Lee. Nicotone gets a split decision over Tom Watson.
But real quick, let's look at Nicotone's leg. We're going to put that up on Facebook.
Ow.
He says he blew his knee in the middle of the fight and continued to fight anyway.
How are you that flexible? I can't blow anything. I fall off the couch every time I try. I'm just saying. So
yoga.
I do Irish yoga. So then we got Chris Carriazo up against Danny Martinez.
A decision.
Alan Patrick gets a decision over John McDessie. And then you have your first finish of the night, which Josh is very happy about. Abel Trujillo knocking out Jamie Varner. Second round, 232. I'm assuming that's knockout of the night.
Yeah,
they got fight of the night
and fight of the night.
So so even losing, Varner still made out.
Nice. And then Ali Bagatanov up against John Lineker. I thought that was a cool fight.
It was a good fight. It was back and forth.
It was a good fight. Alistair Overeem over Frank Mir.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Just when it couldn't get any more boring.
First of all,
fuck.
Overeem outstrikes Mir 139-5.
Yeah, and this is when I'm wondering, how come the scores can't be 35, 35, 30, and 5? How does he get 20 something?
I don't know. I thought Frank made it pretty good in that fight.
Throwing those 5 punches, 3 of them landing significantly.
I heard him crying one time.
Overeem said he tried to stay a little conservative, not really rushing in for the finish right away, and in fear of getting submitted, wanted to make sure that he could last the entire 3 rounds.
I don't know, man. It's almost
And then he immediately called out Brock Lesnar.
It's almost
after
like
the fight.
They scheduled Frank Mir for this fight and didn't tell him. Until, like, I've got a new idea. It's called surprise fights.
Does Overeem know he's not a fighter anymore?
Well, here's the thing. He said he like everyone. Dana White got all pissed. Was like, that was a boring ass fight. And why the fuck are you calling out Lesnar? He's not coming back to fight anytime soon. Like, you just beat a guy barely by doing a boring decision and not finishing the guy when you probably could have. And you're calling out a guy who doesn't fight.
Nobody told him he doesn't fight there anymore.
Well, this is what he said. He goes, I believe I read somewhere that he wanted to come back and that he believed he didn't fight because of health conditions and it would have been different if he was healthy. He's like, so he was talking about making a comeback. I thought he would want to fight me because I was his last fight, maybe a rematch. I guess with Brock, you have to take things with a grain of salt.
Yeah, see, nobody told him it wasn't happening.
Right.
He didn't keep up on the news in the underground, obviously.
And exactly, Dana White recently came out and says, Brock Lesnar is not coming back. Brock Lesnar is not fighting. Does he want to come back? We've talked about it. He does. He feels like he wasn't 100% when he was here, or whatever. But he's not. There's no deal. We have no deal. He's not coming back anytime soon.
He's just mad because the WWE used his ass for publicity.
Yep.
He's still getting paid.
No.
I'll do that if I can get that paycheck. Shit. I was very surprised with Ricardo Lamas going up against Jose Aldo.
Very surprised that Jose Aldo won.
No, I knew Jose Aldo was going to win. I'm surprised Ricardo Lamas lasted that long.
I blame the Mohawk mullet.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Can never let it go too long in the back.
Yeah,
it looks weird.
I figured Jose Aldo was such a superior, like, in just a different class
everywhere
than Ricardo Lamas, that Ricardo Lamas was going to make it out of the second round. So even for Ricardo Lamas to be able to hold on as long as he did, that impressed me. At least he had the heart to do it. But, I mean, Jose Aldo still kicked his ass.
So then your main event, Renan Barão defeats Uriah Faber.
I can call it a main event.
Round 1, 342 TKO punches.
As far as I'm concerned, this event ended with Jose Aldo and Ricardo Lamas. That was the last.
Just
fight.
in case you needed another excuse on why Faber lost, he won
with a partially torn
hamstring,
whatever.
He fought with a partially torn hamstring because obviously it was short notice.
I've never seen anybody get TKO'd from punches to the back of the hand in my life. Never.
You did see him drop both times, though, right?
I've seen a lot of people get dropped.
No, I understand. I am not gonna argue the fact that we have not seen crazy comebacks.
Right.
I wouldn't even call that a crazy comeback.
The deal was that yes, you went into the turtle position, which you should probably not do very often. But he also, was not getting. He was blocking quite a few of the punches.
He was getting hit in the back of his hand.
He had
a leg trap, and
he had a leg trap, and he gave Herb Dean a thumbs up. Now, if you look at the angle from Herb Dean, like they have pictures above, you can't see the hand thumbs up. You just see a hand on the leg. You can't see that he's giving a thumbs up.
He didn't ask him if he's okay. He told him to move.
Right.
No, he asked him to show him something.
In the back, he tells him that they specifically say that even if you give me a thumbs up, I will know you are okay. But he also has to be moving. If he tells you to move, he's like, you have to move. If you don't move, I will stop the fight.
I mean, whatever. Barão caught him twice, and Barão won the fight.
It was very controversial. A lot of people are upset, saying that obviously it was stopped early. Obviously, Dana White said it was stopped early. I mean, tons and tons of people. Twitter was...
It was a very silly stoppage, in my opinion.
Yeah. They said Herb Dean is still one of the best in the game, but he just happened to make a mistake that night.
It's a catastrophe for the sport.
Kind of is.
Plain and simple.
It kind of is, especially after all those decisions.
It really sucks because there was obviously a lot of fight left to be had in that main event.
And I'm never going to argue the point that we couldn't have seen something totally flip around. I'm not going to be one of those people who told you, no, he was getting his ass handed to him. There's no way he could have come back. We seen him fight with broken hands and make it all the way to the end. So
I'll never count anybody out of a fight as long as Scott Smith's legacy lives on. The guy won a fucking belt doing that.
Chet Congo was out.
Yeah. Gets up and knocks out Pat Barry coming in.
Yeah. and Scott Smith made a career out of that. He won a belt from Kung Lee doing that. You know, he got, what was it? Was it Pete Spratt?
Yep.
Or Pete Pete Sell.
Knocked out Pete Sell.
Pete Sell beat his ass for...
Hit him in the liver. He shut down and went down to one knee, and as that Pete Sell came running in, he jumped up and knocked him out.
Right? Like, beat his ass for 14 minutes and 50 seconds. And they got one punch in and knocked out Pete Sell.
Boxing, Muhammad Ali used to do it.
Yeah.
Rope people out. Yeah. I don't know. I'm disappointed for Uriah Faber mainly because you could see there was a lot of fight left in him, and now that he's lost to Renan Barão twice, the idea of a third match is not very appealing to anybody.
I think that a lot of people were saying, especially this is a championship fight. You need to let it go a little bit. This is a championship fight. This is the main event. They're like 3 minutes in. Come on, look, let him move a little bit more than I'm gonna stop it. If you don't, okay, I'm stopping it.
It was a terrible, Dana White said it was a shit sandwich. And that was the
cherry on top.
Cherry on top. What are you gonna do about it? There's nothing you can do now. It's over. It's over. So now we have another event coming up next weekend, which we'll get to next Friday.
Yeah, that's going to be, the one everybody's talking about. Musasi is going to fight Machida.
This is the one
everybody's been asking for this fight. Everybody. Everybody. I mean, come on.
Musasi even said everybody wants me to fight Machida.
Everybody wants to see that fight.
I want to meet everybody. He must be a big guy. He's sitting in his living room. Who are you? I am everybody.
I am everybody.
Some Ukrainian name. Everybody wants
What's his last name? In her? Everybody in her?
Up in her.
Up in her.
Anyway, that wraps it up. We'll be back next week with another episode. Big thanks for listening. Obviously, make sure you hit us up at Split Decision MMA Podcast on Facebook or SD_MMA. Find us on our official website, which is splitdecisionmma.com. Big thanks to Fight Fans Radio Network for spreading the love as well. You can pick us up on their Spreaker, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, as well as their iTunes. We have our own Spreaker, Stitcher, and SoundCloud too. Look us up there. And big thanks to the Rudolph Family Inc. Studios for producing us. It's Bueller and Dodge signing off for Split Decision. Have a good night. We'll see you at the fights.